Live.
All right. All right. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Five Gyres Trash Academy. My name is Melissa Awayo, and I'm the program director at Five Gyres. Thanks to everyone who joined us last week for the life cycle of plastic and who tuned in to the Story of Plastic community screening. Friendly reminder, we are co-hosting a follow-up panel tomorrow, Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time with some of the incredible environmental justice organizations we have the honor to work with. We'll be sure to share the registration link in the comments. All right, so last week we learned how plastic is made and disposed of. We discovered that plastic is made from fossil fuels and that it pollutes along its entire life cycle, disproportionately impacting environmental justice communities. We also learned that recycling is far from a perfect system, with less than 10% actually getting recycled. We have many different types of plastic, and some are easier to recycle than others. In today's lesson, we're going to review the main types of plastic. So let's dive in. Our lives are inundated in plastic. You take a walk through your house or office and you're guaranteed to stumble across a variety of plastic products. Even though plastic is one of the most commonly found materials in our everyday lives, most of us don't really know much about it. It's easy to classify everything as plastic, but today we're going to learn about the 7 different types. Have you ever seen numbers of plastic on the bottom of your materials and wondered what they mean? Believe it or not, a lot of people think that the 3 arrows and numbers are telling you that the plastic is recyclable. Again, there are many different types of plastic, and depending on what the type of plastic is being used for, you might need different properties such as flexibility, rigidity, etc. Each type of plastic has its own molecular structure, which determines the physical properties. It also means that some plastics are easier to recycle than others. In 1988, the Society of Plastics Industry, SPI, established a classification system to help people recycle and dispose of their plastics. Today, manufacturers follow this coding system and place a number or resin identification code on each product, usually molded into the bottom. The plastic number indicates what type of plastic is being used in your product. Whether something is recyclable or not depends on where you live, what your municipality and local recycler accepts, and the current market. The numbers 1 through 7 let you know what type of plastic is used in your bottle, bag, or packaging. Let's take a quick look at some examples of these different types of plastic so we can learn to identify them in our lives. Plastic number 1, or polyethylene terephthalate, is one of the most commonly used plastics in consumer products and is found in most water and soda pop bottles and some packaging. Plastic is made from long carbon chains, which you can see in the middle of the slide. Due to its molecular structure, PET or PETE plastic is one of the most widely recycled plastics, with about 25% of PET bottles in the US today being recycled. Well, maybe not today, given the current crisis. We have 10 states in the United States that have bottle bills, a law that requires deposits to be paid on beverages sold in recyclable bottles and cans. You might have seen this on your grocery receipt before as a separate redemption value. These bills generally result in much higher material recovery rates. This reduces litter and supports a small sector of informal waste pickers. Once this plastic gets recycled, it's crushed and shredded into small flakes, which are reprocessed to make new PET bottles or spun into polyester fiber. You might be wearing some recycled fibers right now. Recycled fiber is used to make textiles such as fleece garments, carpets, stuffing for pillows and life jackets, and similar products. While we are big fans of reusing, PET is intended for single-use applications. Repeated use increases the risk of leaching and bacterial growth. This type of plastic is hard to decontaminate, and proper cleaning requires harmful chemicals. PET may leach carcinogens, which is why it's best to avoid reusing. An easy way to cut down on your PET use is to use a reusable water bottle or a filter at home if you have access to clean water. Plastic number 2, high-density polyethylene, or HDPE plastic, is the stiff plastic used to make milk jugs, detergent, oil bottles, toys, and some plastic bags. HDPE is one of the most commonly recycled plastics and is considered one of the safest forms of plastic. It is a relatively simple and cost-effective process to recycle HDPE plastic for secondary use. HDPE plastic is very hard wearing and does not break down under exposure to sunlight or extremes of heating or freezing. For this reason, HDPE is used to make picnic tables, plastic lumber, waste bins, park benches, bed liners for trucks, and other products which require durability and weather resistance. It's also a popular material for recycled plastic raised garden beds, which some of you might be using more of. Products made of HDPE are reusable and recyclable. However, since only about 30 to 35% of HDPE plastic is used in America and gets recycled each year, it's wise to use as little as possible. Some disposable produce bags are made from this material, so an easy way to cut your HDPE use is to replace disposable produce bags with reusable alternatives, or simply buy naked fruits and veggies. These also are great for repurposing. Plastic number 3, polyvinyl chloride, PVC, is a soft, flexible plastic used to make clear plastic food wrapping, cooking oil, bottles, teething rings, children and pets toys, and blister packaging for a lot of different consumer products. It is commonly used as the sheathing material for computer cables, to make plastic pipes and parts for plumbing, and in garden hoses. Because PVC is relatively impervious to sunlight and weather, it's used to make window frames, garden hoses, arbors, raised beds, and trellises. Almost all products using PVC require virgin material for their construction. Less than 1% of PVC material is recycled. Products made using PVC material are not really recycled. They can be repurposed, but they should not be reused for applications with food or for children's use. And that's because it's dubbed the poison plastic, because it contains numerous toxins which can leach throughout its entire life cycle. PVC was commonly used as food wrap in the past. Does anyone see an issue with wrapping our food in what some call a poisoned plastic? Thankfully, a lot of food wrap has switched over to plastic number 4, low density polyethylene, which we'll learn about next. To avoid items made with PVC plastic, consider replacing toys with reclaimed wool stuffed animals, your PVC garden hose with a drinking water safe garden hose, and just in case, replacing food wrap with reusable beeswax wraps. Plastic number 4, low density polyethylene, or LDPE, is often found in shrink wraps, dry cleaner garment bags, squeezable bottles, and the type of plastic bags used to package bread. The plastic grocery bags used in most stores today are made using LDPE plastic. Some clothing and furniture also uses this type of plastic. LDPE is considered less toxic than other plastics and relatively safe for use. It is not commonly recycled, however, although this is changing in many communities today as more recycling programs are gearing up to handle this material. When recycled, LDPE plastic is used for plastic lumber, landscaping boards, garbage can liners, and floor tiles. Products made using recycled LDPE are not as hard or rigid as those made using recycled HDPE plastic. So to cut down on the amount of LDPE that you consume, try replacing your plastic grocery bags with fabric alternatives. Although we know that is a little bit of a challenge right now, some things that we've heard that are working well are people just putting their groceries right into their carts and then wheeling those out so that they can bag them themselves. And bonus, you get to bag things by different places that they go in your home. So all freezer items can go in one bag, all pantry items can go in another, et cetera, et cetera. Polypropylene, plastic number 5, or PP, is tough and lightweight and has excellent heat-resistant qualities. It serves as a barrier against moisture, grease, and chemicals. When you try to open the thin plastic liner in a cereal box, it is polypropylene. This keeps your cereal dry and fresh. Polypropylene is also commonly used for disposable diapers, pails, plastic bottle tops, margarine and yogurt containers, potato chip bags, straws, packing tape, and rope. Polypropylene is recyclable through some curbside recycling programs, but only about 3% of polypropylene products are currently being recycled in the US. Recycled polypropylene is used to make landscaping border stripping, battery cases, brooms, bins, and trays. However, number 5 plastic is today becoming more accepted by recyclers. PP is considered safe for reuse. To recycle products made from polypropylene, again, make sure to check with your local curbside program to see if they are now accepting this material. To cut down on how much polypropylene you consume, opt for reusable straws instead of plastic ones, and cloth diapers, which contain polypropylene along with other types of plastic. Oof, the dreaded plastic number 6, polystyrene. Let's go back one slide, please. Most often used to make disposable expanded polystyrene, or more commonly known as styrofoam drinking cups, takeout clamshell food containers, egg cartons, plastic picnic cutlery, foam packaging, and those peanut foam chips used to fill shipping boxes to protect the contents. Polystyrene is also widely used to make rigid foam insulation and underlay sheathing for laminate flooring used in construction. That's what we actually is the real styrofoam. The word styrofoam is often used to describe expanded polystyrene foam. Expanded polystyrene foam is the correct term for any form of expanded foam, which is that plastic that they put air in. So it's a lightweight and rigid. Because polystyrene is structurally weak and really lightweight, it breaks up easily and is dispersed readily throughout the natural environment. Beaches all over the world have bits of polystyrene lapping at the shores, and untold numbers of marine species have ingested this plastic with immeasurable consequences to their health. Polystyrene may also leach styrene, a possible human carcinogen, into food products, especially when heated in a microwave, or when we put hot food into this material. Recycling is not widely available for polystyrene products, and most curbside collection services will not accept polystyrene. I mean, think about it. Can you imagine shipping all of this lightweight styrofoam everywhere? So, because of its toxic properties and its difficulty with recycling, we should avoid polystyrene whenever possible. And finally, plastic number 7, or other. So number 7 was designed as a catch-all for polycarbonate and other plastics, so that reuse and recycling products are not, or protocols, sorry, are not standardized within this category. Of primary concern with number 7 is the potentials for chemical leaching into food or drink products packaged into polycarbonate containers made using BPA, which is a known endocrine disruptor. Number 7 products are used to make baby bottles, sippy cups, water cooler bottles, and car parts. BPA is found in polycarbonate plastic food containers, often marked on the bottom with letters PC by the recycling label number 7. Some polycarbonate water bottles are marketed as non-leaching for minimizing plastic taste or odor. However, there's still a possibility that trace amounts of BPA or BPS will migrate from these containers, particularly if used to heat liquids. A new generation of compostable plastics made from bio-based polymers is being developed to replace polycarbonates. These are also included in category number 7, which can be confusing to consumers. You should definitely check out our Better Alternatives Now list 2.0 so you can learn more about these compostables. It is very important, though, to not put compostables into the recycling bin, as these cannot be recycled and can contaminate any of the other types of plastic. And I do see some questions coming in. I just want to let you know that we will be answering those in the comments at the end. Thank you. So just to review, is plastic recyclable? Well, plastic number 1 and 2, PET and HDPE, can be recycled in most places. Plastic number 3 contains harmful toxins and therefore shouldn't be recycled into new materials. Plastic number 4 and 5 can be recycled in some places. So again, call your local recycler to find out if it's being accepted. And plastic number 6 generally cannot be recycled and oftentimes contain harmful chemicals and toxins as well. Plastic number 7 could be any number of different materials and is therefore really, really challenging to recycle properly and properly sort. It's also important to note that although recycling plastics help cut down on production of new plastics and prevents minimal plastic from ending up on our streets and our ocean, it's far from a perfect system that requires a lot of resources and energy. Recycled plastic typically requires the production of new plastic as well. And the process of exporting plastic waste to developing countries comes with a host of environmental justice issues, as we learned last week. And just as we mentioned above, we should be wary of polyvinyl chloride, plastic number 3, and plastic number 6 because of their innately toxic composition and material properties. PVC is commonly used as piping for our sewer, stormwater, and pressurized drinking water systems. And expanded polystyrene is typically used for food containers and trays in restaurants and businesses and schools. We should do our best to avoid these toxic materials in our daily life as much as we can. And change systems. That's why we have seen a huge shift in policies that are looking to address polystyrene specifically because of those toxic properties. So understanding the plastic types can help consumers like you and I make more informed decisions related to our health and our environment. It also helps us sort plastic materials more effectively for recycling. I know in the past I've done a lot of wish cycling. Remember, whether something is recyclable or not mostly depends on where you live. So make sure to connect with your local waste hauler. They will be the absolute best resource to find out what is and isn't recyclable where you live. So for today's challenge, find all 7 plastic types in your home. Go ahead and turn all those plastic items over and see if you can find what resin code they have. And then don't forget to register for tomorrow's panel and join us for next Wednesday for a deep dive into watersheds. So let's go ahead and stop recording here, and then for our all right, I'm seeing that I have some questions coming in, but I'm not seeing any of them. Oh, okay, here they are. Have you ever done the sink or float test on the various types of plastic? It's an interesting student exercise. Yeah, so we do have some fun different tests that you can do through our curriculum. So again, we'll go ahead and link that in the comments so that you could check that out. If you're also wanting to explore what those polymer chains look like for the different types of plastic, that's also an activity that you all can do at home. It's pretty easy. You can repurpose old pieces of paper. So thanks for your question, Anne. And another question from Anne, I love it. What are your thoughts about the natural enzyme that is purported to break down PET plastics back to basic components and be able to be reused again as virgin material? A good thing. Yeah, I think that these kinds of technologies and things that we're learning can certainly be used for good. I think the thing that we have to remember and be conscious of is that all of those are part of the solution, but it all comes down to reducing and finding ways to use less. So as long as those are part of a strategy to use less plastic, then they can be used in the proper way. And then a final question from Anne, why is the chasing arrow symbol on all plastic products when many of these types of plastics are not recyclable? That is a great question, and I think that's something that people have talked about changing through legislation, because these chasing arrows are very misleading, and they give people the misconception that that plastic item is recyclable, when in fact all it's telling you is the resin type. This blows people's mind all the time. They think that it's telling them that their plastic is recyclable, when in fact it's only telling you the type of plastic that it is. So there have been conversations in the space about looking to pass legislation to change that. One thing that is changing is that they can no longer put that it's recyclable on there if it isn't. So there have been lawsuits brought onto some of these companies that have said that these things are recyclable or biodegradable is the one that they especially cannot use, because no plastic is really biodegradable. You can say it's compostable if it is compostable within the right if it can break down within a certain amount of time and be certified as compostable. Otherwise, they're not allowed to say it is biodegradable. So hopefully this is one of the other things that we will tackle and try to really bring to light how a lot of these different items aren't recyclable and how some of these companies have switched over from truly biodegradable materials to these plastic materials, a lot of which are not actively being recycled. Thank you so much for your questions, Anne. Like always, please feel free to put any questions and we'll be sure to answer them as best as we can. So thank you all so much, and we hope to see you next week for a dive into watersheds. Bye.